Hi, it's Sarah here, and welcome to NPT's community class. Today's class will be a progressive level reformer class, and we'll be exploring the concept of alignment. So now, when we hear alignment, we go straight to thinking torso, spinal alignment, thinking how the vertebrae stack on our spine, how the rib cage sits on our pelvis. Thinking about that midline, plumb line. Let's have a little bit of a broader concept of alignment and think about the whole body and certain aspects like the ankle alignment. Do they supinate, pronate? Knees, are they knocked or do they bow? How does the patella, the kneecaps, how do they track? What about our upper body? What about our wrists and our elbows? Do they hyperextend? So that all these little elements of alignment within our whole body, that's what I want us to sort of have a little bit of a think about as we go through this class. So to help us out with that and gain a little bit more feedback regarding alignment, we have two props that we will be using today. So we have a yoga block as well as a little Pilates ball. So I'm going to give you a chance to pause this video, grab those two props and come back. And I'll see you in ready to go for class. Right, so first up, pop 3 springs on your reformer like you're doing your leg and footwork, your doubles. So nice strong springs to set up with. And we're going to pop ourselves down. We're going to have a little sit down on the reformer. And I want us to grab our first prop, the little ball, straight away. And we're just going to cross our legs over, sitting on top of the carriage. And we're just going to give that ball a little bit of a hug towards the sternum. Okay? And that little bit of a push, I want you to feel a little bit of that energy firing up into the arms, into the shoulders, and give yourself that little bit of a lift off your pelvis. So almost imagine like your head's a helium balloon and it's floating up and you're feeling light. You're giving your vertebrae space, just your vertebrae some space here so you don't feel like you're sort of crumbling in your position. Take a moment. Welcome to close your eyes. We are going to go into a little bit of breath work. So a lovely inhale and then an exhale. I'm not going to let you cue in diaphragmic breath or lateral breath. I just want you to settle your breath. What comes naturally to you? How do you want to breathe? And one more slow breath. Let's start to channel the breath into a lateral action. Can you take your breath in without letting the ball push up into your hands? So keeping the rib cage expanding out to the sides and posturally to the back. And then exhale, wrapping the rib cage. And trying to take as much of that breath out as possible. Inhale. And as you exhale this time, get a sensation of what the abdominal wall is doing. And those deep transverse muscles starting to wrap and hug the spine. Breath in. And as we exhale, starting to find our core engagement and maintaining that core engagement. We're going to bring our legs forwards. We're going to position our feet onto the platform. And notice I'm kind of wiggling forwards a little bit just to give myself a little bit of space behind me. I'm going to use the ball here in front. And then from here, I'm just going to give a little bit of a wrap up, almost like I'm pulling my arm back into its socket. And we're going to do some roll back. So we're going to exhale, engage lower abdominal. So think imprinting, rolling hips underneath you. Sense the sitting bones rolling underneath you and winding together. You take a breath in and you're going to roll yourself forwards and then stack yourself back up again. And we're going to do that again. Exhale, abdominal wall, imprints. Good. Find that posterior tilt of the pelvis. We start to roll back. And I want you to just now gauge what your legs might be up to. Have you let the knees part? If so, as you roll yourself back up again, place that ball between your knees. Reach the arms forwards. Exhale. Imprint. Posteriorly tilt the pelvis. We find the curve in the lumbar. We take a breath in. We roll forwards. And we stack back up again. So we've got a little bit of a constant engagement for the adductors now. Exhale. Abs draw in. We roll back. The thigh bones are sitting nice and parallel. And roll it back forwards. And up. Good. Scoot yourselves even further forwards. And we're going to come back through a roll down, a roll back, my apologies. And with that, you're going to bring your little ball behind you. So you're going to scoot that tummy, carefully roll back. And you're going to try and find that ball around your thoracic upper spine region between your scapulars. And then you're going to place your hands behind the head. You're going to draw your chin into the back of your throat that little bit more, but maintain a little bit of distance between your chin and your chest. And carefully bring one foot up to the foot bar on the heel and then the other one. Start to bring yourself over into the extension of your chest lift, so you're going to lower back down, and you're making sure that you kind of align with the carriage. The shoulder should lightly tap down to the shoulder pads. And then exhale, wrapping the abdominals, rib cage sliding down towards the pubic bone. We take a breath in as we lower back down. As we lower, we've still got a bit of support happening through the neck. We haven't just let the head just drop, even if it just hovered just off the headrest. Exhale, coming up. So we're going to do a 1 breath count chest lift here. And an inhale to lower back down. Elbows are nice and wide. Careful we're not sort of lifting or tugging the head with those arms. Good, let's do one more. And this time in your chest lift, hold it up. Float one leg up to tabletop. Second leg up to tabletop. And now we're going to lower the chest back down again. So we're now moving into chest lift number 3 with the addition of extension over the ball. Ooh, I just got a big tremor through my body. So breath in. And exhale. So you're finding that flexion through the spine, but it's a nice neutral anchored pelvis. And we go back over. And let's do 2 more. Last one. We come up. We're going to move straight into double leg stretch, 4-point. So you're going to take your hands away from your head and place them on top of your knees. And give yourself that little additional lift by using the arms. So you've got anchoring of the knees into the hands. So you've got that little push-pull sensation that's occurring. Inhale, reach the arms and the legs into your 100 position. The legs are just floating off the foot bar. Circle the arms on your exhale. Inhale, come back through the 100. And then exhale to return back. We go again. Inhale, reach for that long 100. Circle the arms. Try not to smush the ball. So try not to let the torso drop as you circle the arms. Hold. And then draw the knees back in again. Let's do 2 more. And inhale into 100. Check your shoulders. And nice and down. Circle, stay high on the ball, reach, and draw back in again. Last one, and reach and pull. Nice and slow. Good. Return the legs back to tabletop. Place the hands behind your head. Go back over into that thoracic extension. Exhale. As you come up, you're going to rotate to your left into your first hula. So careful you don't over rotate because you're going to fall off that ball, right? So it's a little bit less rotation, a little bit more lift into that side. Come back over your ball. And exhale up, slight rotation to the right. So almost think like you're rotating just to the outer knee rather than to the right wall. Let's go one more per side. To the left, think about outer knee. And back over. And back through to center. Lower one leg down to the foot bar and then the other. And then we're going to carefully just roll off the ball. Take it away, pop it to the side, easily reachable. And we're going to change our props around straight away. Yoga block between the ankles. Now, what you may notice with this is that I want it not only between the ankles, but also seated. I know it's a little bit awkward. There we go. Seated between the big toes. Careful the soles of the feet don't wrap around the yoga block because you want to be able to pop your heels on the foot bar. Okay. So big toes, instep of your feet, pressed up against the block, making sure the heels are nicely in line with your sitting bones and the knees are apart at the same width as the yoga block. Print your body, find your neutral position through your pelvis and your spine. We take a breath in, and as we exhale, we press away. And then we draw back in again. Let's do a few of these. We'll do about 8. And I want you to just get a sensation of what that yoga block between the ankle and the big toes creates. I'm feeling definitely a lot more activations from my adductors. My inner thighs are working hard to maintain that alignment, that tracking of my ankles, my knees to my hip flexion. Nicely done. So you're thinking kneecaps to the ceiling, adductor work, feeling that inner thigh, almost like you zip up to engage and draw back in. Good, let's do about 2 more of these. Pelvis is staying really nicely anchored on the carriage, so you're just watching that you're not letting it tuck or your lower back start to press down into the carriage. I believe that might be just a little bit more than 8, but let's call it 8 now. Good. Now, keeping the block exactly like it is, hop the metatarsals, so think balls of the feet are now on. All right, and this one, what might happen is that you might have to find a little bit more engagement that you're used to into the ball of your big toes. Good, so you can keep that yoga block in place and you can keep the ankles engaged onto the block. Whoop, my apologies, I'm going to do a little bit of an adjustment. We press away again. We pull back in again. So remembering co-contraction, right? Quads and hamstrings. Top of the leg, underneath side of the leg, working together. Good. So getting that little bit of a feeling of that lift of the heels. So you're just watching that the heels aren't lifting up or down. Let's do about 2 more of these. And 1 more. Good, we're gonna add here, you're gonna press away, hold it out, draw your heels underneath first for a lengthened calf, and then keep that length and start to bend the knees. Your Achilles now is getting a bit of a stretch in this work as you draw yourself back in again. So again, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. You're going to press the carriage away, start to lower the heels underneath the foot bar at the same time. And then as you start to bend the knees to draw yourself back in again, keep the heels underneath that foot bar as much as you can. Good, go again. Press away, heels go underneath. Then keep those heels underneath. Good. Of course, they'll move a little bit, but you're really trying to maintain a lengthened Achilles through here. And I find that I gain a lot more work as well, firing up into my lower glute fibers. Good. Let's aim for another 3. Press away, lowering the heels underneath. Keep them under as you draw yourself back in again. Now this one you have to be quite careful that as those heels are underneath and you're pulling yourself back in again, that the knees don't collapse towards each other. So you're thinking glute med, abductors need to be switched on to keep those femurs, those thigh bones nice and parallel. Good, make this one your last one. Press away and hold it out there. We'll move into our calf raises. We lower nice and slowly for 3 count and a 3 count to lift. 3 count to lower and a 3 count to lift. So this is when things get a little bit interesting. And for some of us, we might struggle a little bit to maintain the block between the ankles. Because probability is that tendency is that when we rise up, that we would like to supinate. We like the ankles to roll out a little bit. So can we maintain that ankle alignment as we rise? Whether or not that might be that we don't go all the way up, but we work to our range to where we can whilst maintaining a nice engagement into the block. Ooh, they're beginning to be nice and toasty. Let's do about 2 more of these calf raises. Good, hold the heels up, bend the knees, pull yourself in again. Ooh, and let's take that block off to the side. Feet are going to be nice and parallel back again. And then you're going to push out. And I want you to take this opportunity without the block, see if we can do another 4 calf raises. So I'm going to put my little head up and have a little look. Whether or not, when I rise, I can keep that lovely engagement that I've been working on and maintain that alignment through my ankles. 2. 1 more. Ooh, right. Let's prance out and we'll do 20. And this, because it is the unilateral work, you want to be careful here that we've done all this gorgeous work, that we don't start to lose it in regards to the tracking of the kneecaps. You're watching that they're going straight to the ceiling. The pelvis is nice and steady. And I'll call that 20 as we press up and we draw back in again. Oh, nice. We're awake. All right, let's just prop ourselves up And let's change our springs around. We're moving into abdominal work that I want us to move straight into strap work. So let's go for 1.5. A little bit of a tougher spring, I know, but let's challenge ourselves. Always welcome to drop down and work towards that strength as we go along. All right, popping ourselves back down again. Aligning ourselves to our carriage. I like to wiggle away from the shoulder pads just a little bit. All right. And then bringing our hands into our hand straps. Checking here for arm alignment. Can we engage into the straps so they come to perpendicular to our body, to our torso? Nicely in line with those shoulders. We float one leg up. Exhale, bring the second leg up. Feet together, knees slightly apart. Hundreds progression. Exhale, lift the head, just extend the legs. Return. We're preparing for 100. And because I've done some nice work with the block between my ankles today, I really would like us to keep our legs parallel versus an external rotation. So you're going to press out into your 100 position. You're going to hold it this time. We start our work. Finding lovely depth here in those lower abs. And then seeing if we can use the strength in our straps to push into them and lift up a little bit higher through flexion of that thoracic. Good. Try and give the legs a little bit of a squeeze together. See if that ignites the inner thighs and feel that zip up sensation. Hold, bend the knees, bring ourselves back to our start position. Careful. We're still on load with the straps, with the arms in line, perpendicular. And we go into our coordination. Exhale, extend, open, close the legs, pull the legs back in again, and then we bring ourselves back down again. Let's repeat. And open, close, think psoas and lower abs, draw those legs in, and then we return. And extending long, open, close. To make the movement quite precise. And two more. And there's our last one. Hold, lower one leg down, lower the other. We're just holding onto the straps. I want you to just grab your little yoga block and keep it on hand because we are going to be using it. I'm going to pop it on my tummy. We are going to use it. So we're going to push away. A little bit fiddly, but we'll get there. We're popping feet into straps, one at a time. Once they're in, take your little yoga block, pop it between your feet again. Now this one, you have to be really careful not to sickle the feet. So I don't want the soles wrapping. I want the feet in steps holding onto the block. And your straps, they're going to sit on top of your knees. You're parallel. You're in tabletop. We're moving into parallel frogs. Exhale, press away. Elongate, pull up for the kneecaps, working the legs. Resist the straps, pulling back in again, bringing the ropes back over the top of the knees. We press away. We draw back in. And returning. So if you find someone who quite happily likes to be in that external rotation or trains a lot in external rotation. So, for instance, your dancers, your gymnasts, try giving them the opportunity to work in parallel for a little bit, working different ranges, mobility through our hips. Press away, extend the legs out nice and long. Here they're long, but you've got a little bit of a pull up for those abdominals. You've still got a neutral pelvis, neutral spine. We've printed, and we begin to lift the legs. You'll find your hamstrings lengthening, but you're keeping your sitting bones winding down. Using the back of the legs, you press back down again. And draw it back up. And good. I can definitely feel my inner thighs, particularly my upper inner thighs, upper adductors, really starting to fatigue by now by all of this work that we have been doing in parallel. Let's do about 2 more of these. All right. Hold it down, bend the knees, come back into your parallel or parallel frog or your tabletop. Let's combine them together. Press away. Lengthen the legs. Bring the legs up. Press them down. Pull back in again. Oh, do a few of these reps. And this is great because you can have a little look at what your feet are up to. Are they starting to do little funny things? Nicely done. Let's go up for another 2 of these. That will do. Let's bring that in. Let's take the block away. Pop it off to the side. Come into a turned out frog position. So your heels are now clasped together. You've got an external rotation happening through the thigh bones. You press away, keep those legs out. You're in external rotation. We open out to the sides. This is your low openings. Exhale, draw them back in together. And inhale. You're feeling quite stable through the pelvis. You've noted that the legs are working evenly, that one leg is not opening further than the other, or that one leg isn't maybe dropping a little bit lower than the other. Then challenge it. Go a little bit wider for another 3. Exhale, draw it in. And bend the knees. I'm going to do a short adductor stretch. So I'm going to pull myself into my froggy position. I'm going to allow the heels to part and my adductors to have a stretch. Almost like a little happy baby pose. Rather than holding onto the toes, we're holding on to the straps. Couple more breaths. One more breath. If we bring those legs together, we're going to take these straps off one at a time. One. And then the other. Coming back in. Now, having worked a little bit into that external rotation with legs and straps, we're going to keep it at external rotation. We're going to go into our Pilates V. Balls of the feet are on the foot bar. Heels are together. Heels are just that slightly elevated, and hands are beside us. Semicircle prep. So a little bit of an intermediate repertoire, but regressed and in a sense getting the repertoire introduced to a person, to your client for the first time. Exhale, imprint, pelvic curl up, checking in. Everyone's got their head rests down. As you curl up here at the top, we press away, almost straight legs. So you want to be careful not to extend too far where it goes into your lower back. Hold it out there, drop from the sternum, curl the pelvis back down again, find its neutral base, draw yourself back in again. We do that 2 more times. Exhale, imprint, curl the pelvis up. Press away. Curl back down, return to neutral, then only return the carriage back. One more in this direction. Curl it up, really open up to the front of the hips, find the engagement for those hip extensors. Curl back down, don't lose the squeeze of the heels. Pull yourself back in again. Reverse it. So we're going to press away, almost to straight legs. Imprint, curl up, try not to move the carriage. Now once you're at the top, now pull in and move the carriage in. And now curl it back down again. I always find the reverse a lot trickier. Press away. Here we go. Imprint, curl. Find your top position. Now pull it in. Curl back down. We've got one more to do. And fantastic. Hello, hamstrings. Give them a little bit of a shake out if needed. Love it. Okay, we're coming up. We're staying at 1.5. We're coming up. And we're going to tuck the toes underneath and bring our heels to the foot bar. We're going to sit back into our heels. And we're going to work a little bit into some kneeling arm work. But again, like it's been very much introduced to the class. So we're thinking a little bit about regression. Now, if you find this strength a little bit too strong, welcome to drop down to 1.5, to 1. And careful going into those straps here. Upright position through the body. Navel draws in. You're going to, at the same time, start to lift your pelvis off and away from your heels. You're going to engage into the straps to bring them in line with your body, just to there. Now find your hip extensors. They're working hard here. And then we just sit back. Good. So be really careful. If we've got super light springs, you're going to feel a lot looser through the body. You want to be really safe in this position. So hip extensors definitely need to be firing here. So we're going to start to lift the pelvis off. Find the engagement of lower glute fibers, hamstrings, press the body, arms in line. Hold it. Upright position, ribs are wrapping, navel's drawing in. And control it. And return. And hold. Strong upright position. Return back down. Pop the straps away. Oh, that was strong. We're going to take up, hop, the little ball, pop it between. Rather than just between the knees, can you bring it up a little bit higher? So if you're looking at me, I'm not completely here. I'm just a little bit up higher. So there's a little bit of space underneath the ball. And we're going to gain a lovely adductor engagement again. with our work of knee stretch round. So starting by sitting back into the heels a little bit, start with a flat back position. And now can we give ourselves a bit of an imprint into that lumbar region? So we're really working on finding that depth for the lower abs and a little bit of that engagement again for those adductors, pelvic floor. Here we go. We're going to press out, and on the exhale, draw the carriage in. We go again. Rounded spine, particularly, you want to be careful how far you bring the legs back so that we don't lose the pelvis and drop the spine. So maintaining your shape for another 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Drawing in. Good. Flat back. Lengthen through the crown all the way to the coccyx. Checking that we haven't overdone it either. You want to keep the rib cage nicely engaged and in line with the hips. We hinge at the hips. We hinge it back. So definitely here, hip dissociation. Can we keep the torso still and pivot around that hip socket, back and forth? Another 4, 3, and 2, and 1. Pull in. Good. Take the ball away, pop it to the side. Carefully holding onto the foot guide, we stand up. Bringing the heels up. We're in what I like to call an A-frame. So we're still strong through the shoulders here, strong through the arms. So right now we're going to check that we are not letting the wrist drop and find ourselves in deep flexion. We really want to make sure that we're weighted into the heel of the palm, and so that we have this ability then to lift out of the joint, and that we're not looking for hyperextended elbows. I've got cheeky elbows, as you can see, but the elbows, the creases are facing each other, so I'm not locking into my joints. Up stretch 2, pivot at the hips and the shoulders. Find your diagonal long line. Heels are in to the shoulder pads. And then you pivot at the shoulders and at the hips. We go again. We press out, find that alignment. I want a neutral spine and a neutral pelvis, strong legs pulling up and drawing back in again. Now the head is part of the same line as your spine. Let's do another 3. And up. And last one. Back of the legs pressing into those shoulder pads. Chest is strong, pushing up. Almost feel like your breastplate is pressing up between your scapulas. We hinge at the hips. We bring ourselves back in through our pike. Elephant. Now this one's going to be in particular. If we find that we do have tight hamstrings, stay back a little bit, back through your carriage a little bit. But I do want us to challenge it a little bit and come into mid carriage. So you're going to find your legs here like pillars, and you're going to give me a little bit of an imprint for those abdominals. So you are still quite weighted over your legs for elephant. Now use the back of the legs, you push the carriage away, and you drive it back in again with those abdominals. Go again, breath in, and you'll find a little bit more challenge, possibly with the legs a little bit further in. Good, one more. Lovely work. Let's bring ourselves down. Let's get to a short box. So a little bit of adjusting happening right now. Popping the box evenly up against the shoulder pads. Throw a few more springs on, definitely, to keep that carriage nice and sturdy and still. And the foot bath will be coming down. Okay. Have your little ball at the ready. And feet come into our straps. Now with the straps, energize those legs. Push those legs apart into those straps. We'll be finding a little bit of depth in our psoas here as we work through Genie. Okay. A little bit of a tool. We're going to bring the ball to the lower part of our sternum, just underneath our bust. And we're going to take one hand on top of the other and give it a little bit of a push, just a little bit of a squeeze. Align the shoulders up nice and neatly and print the body in that seated position. So you're neutral here for that pelvis and the spine. Exhale, Genie. Like going back all the way to your warm-up when we did our rollbacks. See if you can challenge the length of the psoas loading, imprinting, we roll over our ball, and we stack back up again. We go again, and imprint, posteriorly tilt the pelvis. Your sitting bones wind underneath and together. We find our depth without losing that imprinted flexed position through the lumbar. And then we stack ourselves back up again. Good, let's just do two more. Exhale, imprint, roll it back. Check in, the head is part of that curve. So we're watching that chins aren't getting left behind. And even work. And feel even between both sides of your pelvis, both sitting bones anchored evenly. Stacking up. Bring it a little bit higher into the sternum. Spine twist, seated. Inhale. As you exhale, rotate. Keep the sitting bones anchored. How much can you spiral that thoracic and return? A little bit of feedback of pressing the ball into the sternum just allows us to really refocus where the rotation is coming from. That we're watching that it's not initiated by the arms, the elbows, or the shoulders. We're rotating through that thoracic. And again. It's tough. And return. Ooh. One more time. We rotate. Think, can you grow a little bit taller in your rotation? And returning. Lovely. Okay, we're moving on. We're going to move on to side over. However, I'd like us to incorporate some of the setup and really incorporating a strong foundation of the setup for later work for side overs. So the leg is hooked over the box. Top leg is extended underneath your strap still. Okay. Now for a little bit of assistance. Note that I'm scooting myself a little bit further down my box here to give myself a bit of space, because I'm going to bring my ball here on my box underneath my hip and waistline, and I'm going to come over it. Hand rest on the headrest. So we're going to start here. Hand, other hand behind the head. Now, can you give me a little bit of an underside lift away from the ball? You're trying not to smush it. You're trying not to flatten the ball. You're lifting from the underside. So you're going to find your underneath oblique and then the lat, and you can use that hand for that assistance. Now, here's the tricky bit. Can you lift the leg up into the strap? Hold it there. All of a sudden, all that abduction work is starting to fire up, and we're holding it there permanently in that isometric hold. This is going to be a leg burn here. So think of this almost like as if you're doing your additional leg work, holding here in space. Can we just bend the elbow to go over the ball? Can we return and just come back to that long diagonal line? I want us to be really careful that we don't overshoot. All right, I don't want this position. I want a long line. We're talking about alignment, right? And we go slightly over the ball. It doesn't need to go far. And then find that lengthened diagonal line again. Well, one more time, just like that. Breath and hold. Now we're holding. Now with this hold, we've got 6 breaths. Can you see if you can slide the heel of your palm off? So you're pressing now into the headrest rather than down into it, but into the side. Hold it. Find your underside. Lift up a little bit off the ball. Hold it. Take the hand away. Hold. Hold. Breath in. As you exhale, wrap your TVA a little bit more. Place the hand back. Oh my goodness me. We can have a little stretch moment. So, oblique. That's awake. Abductor, awake. Everything's awake. Let's swap over. Excuse me as I have my back to you, but also an opportunity to view a different alignment, I guess. So we're resetting. Give yourself that little bit of space for the ball. We go over the ball, pop the hand onto the headrest to support yourself. Good, and then we're just going to start with making sure that the shoulders are square. We haven't rotated anywhere. They're square to your wall. Hand goes behind the head. Good, and now allow yourself to go over the ball a little bit, and then just press yourself back up into that long line. Hold here. Under rib, can you lift it up and off the ball a little bit? Now find your leg. Push it up into that strap. Make it strong. Keep it straight. Lots of work happening right to the outer hip region. We go over the ball, little over. Again, keep these moves small. And then we come back into that long diagonal line. Long. And we go over. And a little lift. We go over. You might find one side a little bit easier than the other as well. This next one, we're going to hold it up there. Find that alignment. Remember, don't overshoot the position. What you haven't overlifted, right? You want that long line, same distance between the rib and the hip on both sides of the body. Take the hand away slightly. Hold. Hold. Place the hand back. Ooh, and we can have a little drape over and a little stretch. Excellent. Let's take that strap away, bring ourselves up, pop the prop, the little ball off to the side. We're coming off the short box, moving it into long box. And because all springs are on, I'm going to keep it that way for a little bit of stability for the carriage. We're going to swing ourselves back around because we're going to move straight into teaser prep. Right, so we've done rollbacks, we've done our Genie. We are now ready. Okay, now this is your prep without the straps today. So again, in an intermediate exercise, we are learning this for the first time. We want to start feeling confident about doing these teaser preps on a box. Exhale, imprint, scoop the tummy, just roll back towards your sacrum, and we hold here. Float one leg up, and today just grab underneath the knee. Second leg up, grab between underneath the knee. Squeeze the feet together. Knees can be slightly apart. So pelvis is in a posterior tilt. You are imprinting through those lower abdominals, lumbar region, but you're still proud through your thoracic and chest. You're going to start to roll back. So again, you're making sure that you got space behind you to roll back on towards the box. You're going to aim towards the lumbar. And then you're going to bring yourself back up to your start position. Ooh. We go again. You exhale to go back. You inhale to come back up to your start. We haven't overshot. We are not back into neutral. We're still in a posterior tilt of the pelvis. Reach your arms forwards. We go back. Always welcome to pop the hands back behind the knees for a little bit of assistance. We bring ourselves back up again. Whew. 3 more. Challenging. We breathe out to roll back. Then inhale up. Remembering our teaser breath. And coming back up, hold, and popping the legs down. Lovely. Changing, 1 spring. We are moving into extension, pulling strap number 1, and then straight into number 2. So we're going to go onto the box. Chest off, legs elongated, legs together, grabbing a hold of your straps. I'm going to go for just above the buckles, but you're also always welcome to slide those hands a little bit further down if you're finding the spring resistance a little bit too strong. We go over the box, so think thoracic flexion. Lower lumbar region is neutral. We've got the pubic bone down into the box. Pelvis is neutral. The legs are active, they're hovered. So think hamstrings, hip extensors are on, but at the same time, they haven't over-recruited and therefore not lifting with your lower back. So think of that alignment of neutral through the bottom half of your body. We're going to pull up like you're doing number 1 straight away, and I want you to come into, rather than full extension through the thoracic, can you maintain a relatively long neutral position and just turn the fists so the palms are facing down, and then you're going to glide them out to the sides in line with your shoulders. Be careful not to bypass them. And then you're going to draw them back in again towards your hips. We open. And exhale, drawing back in again. Good. So even though we are in neutral, you will definitely be still feeling all the lovely extensor work that's running up and down our spine. Shall we do another 3? And 2. And 1. Hold. Lower the arms in line with the carriage frame as you lower the torso down. We go into number 1. Again, find that pelvis, abdominal wall. Give yourself a little bit of a prone breath. And then we exhale as we lift. And this time, give yourself that little bit more extra height. And then we lower ourselves back down, back into thoracic flexion. And again, exhale, wind past flexion through neutral into that thoracic extension. Check it's not the neck in hyperextension. Think where we're lifting from. Where is our goal? And let's do 3 more. Ooh. Nice. Let's pop the straps away. Carefully coming off the box. Pop it off to the side. Let's bring the foot bars up. Keeping it as 1 spring. I like to have a little bit more strength, so I am going to go for 1.5. Give myself a little bit more stability through the carriage, but definitely 1 or 1.5. We're moving into a regressed version of your standing lunge. So it's a little bit different today. We're going to take the front foot, and rather than having it on the foot bar, it's going to come down onto the platform. We're going to square those hips up, back of the leg, and you're going to, with a little bit of assistance with the foot bar and the hands on the foot bar, you're going to come up to a standing position, like a little triangle shape through the legs. And then you're going to bend and press away into your standing lunge position. So whilst we're having a moment here, I want you to think about the knee that is bent to be right under the heel. So we're watching that the shin's not pressing, or the knee's not pressing into the foot bar, or that you haven't pushed away too far either. Hips are square, back leg as lengthened as possible, pushing that heel into that shoulder pad. Now, keep the hips on the same plane. So rather than letting them lift or lower even further, can you just feel like you're sliding across a garden bench to extend the front leg and lift the toes up? Good. Front leg draws into that pelvis, so trying to keep it nice and square for the pelvis. We bend the front leg, we lower the foot down, we bring ourselves back in again. And we'll press back out 1 more time. And pull back in again. It's a really nice way to sort of introduce standing lunge to your class. If they're just not ready or find it a little bit almost scary to bring the foot bar up and stand up, to have the foot on the foot bar and to stand up. So resetting our leg. Let's come up to standing, tuck that toe under. We push that back leg away and we bend the front leg. Now the front leg again, knee is underneath that heel. Back leg is, the heel is engaged into that shoulder pad. Torso is upright as much as we can while still holding onto that foot bar. And then we're going to press away for that front leg, pull that thigh bone into its socket, lift the toes up, and pull it back in again, just to your lunge position. You won't go back to your stopper. And then you'll press back away like you're sliding across that bench. We hold, and you pull back in again. And you'll carefully come out of that position. Good. Alrighty, let's pop ourselves back. Feet in parallel, nice and tall. The sensation of your tripod stance in your feet. So think big toe, the ball of the big toe, ball of the pinky toe, middle of the heel, arches are lifting. Legs are like pillars, like columns holding you up. We take a roll down. Chin draws in, lengthen through the cervical. Start to round through the upper spine, mid spine, lower spine. Let the arms dangle. Take a breath. And as you exhale, can you retract the arms back? Abs draw in. Sitting bones wind underneath you. Stack the pelvis back on top of the legs. Rib cage stacks back on top of the pelvis. And lastly, the head lands. Take a breath in. Exhale. You're all done. Well done. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. A little bit of playfulness as well with the props. I want you just to keep exploring that and see what feedback comes into your body and how it might assist with your alignment as well. So enjoy, and I'll see you later.